What is going on, everybody? It is Treeb from Treeb Talks here, and we are back again to review another episode of Kill Tony. This time, Kill Tony number 683 with guest panelist Tom Segura. Now, before we dive into this episode, I do just want to say one thing before we hop into this, and that is when I review these episodes and I rank these sets, I am in no way trying to bash these comedians. I'm not trying to say I can go up there and have a better 60 seconds than maybe even any of these comedians, even the bottom-ranked people that I have had on these lists. I like making these videos because I like discussing Kill Tony. It's not only my favorite show on YouTube, but it's probably my favorite show anywhere. Favorite show on television even. And I just like to discuss it. I like to talk about it. And, if I'm lucky enough, maybe some of you guys will comment on it and we can have a fair chat in the comments. I've noticed, on some of the shorts, I've had some people say, like, you're bugging, like, why are you talking shit about this comedian, yada, yada, yada. I'm just talking about my opinion on a show that I really enjoy and how much I enjoyed each stand-up comedian's performance on this show. In a TV show, all these people are characters in a way. In a show that I enjoy, these stand-up comedians are, and we kind of go over their performance. So again, in no way am I bashing these guys. I'm just going over how much I liked each part of this show. So with that out of the way, let's talk about Kill Tony 683, starting off with the guest panelist, Tom Segura. Tom Segura is no stranger to Kill Tony. He has been on a lot of episodes, even dating back, multiple years. He's one of the more frequent guests on the show. And, he's a guy that's been in some hot water, in the comedy landscape. Comedy fans are not the biggest fan of this guy and, his right-hand man, Bert Kreischer, just based on his personality, how he's kind of changed ever since he found fame. And I can see that, that's just who Tom Segura is. As a matter of fact, I recently saw Tom Segura live in Spokane at the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. And while his set was good, his 1 hour, he killed it on stage. I was laughing the whole time. I really enjoyed it. What I found really funny was before he even got on stage, he the whole time he had ads playing, just hyping himself up. Like he would have swore you were seeing like a man who is just the highest level of intellect of our time with the amount of ads that he had for himself and showing all the cool stuff that he's done. He had like, people like Joe Rogan, other people just saying cool things about him in these ads, and it took him a while to get on stage, but a very self-centered approach and something that you could only really see Tom Segura doing. But in this episode, it kind of seemed like he kind of dipped back into why people enjoy Tom Segura and really kind of relaxed and chilled out, and had a good run here on this episode. He was funny. But I think what really stood out was he really tried to help a lot of these young comedians, or even some of these veteran comedians that you will hear here in a little bit, to try to improve their craft and kind of coach them in a way. And I thought that was pretty cool from Tom. And this was a good episode for him to come off as more likable, especially after probably a solid year where he's kind of come off as really, really unlikable. I mean, just in the last week or two, he had a podcast with Matt Rife where all he did was talk about dieting and body hair, and it was the most boring podcast you'll ever watch in your life. So a great rebound for Tom Segura, personally, for me, and I really enjoyed him on this episode of Kill Tony. But without further ado, let's dive into the sets and talk about who did good, who did bad, who got big joke books, who got little joke books, and who had the best and the worst set of the night. There were only 12 sets in this episode, which is down, I believe, from, a lot of the most recent Kill Tony episodes. Actually, last week there was 12. Maybe I'm tripping, but so a couple weeks ago there was 14. I believe, they kind of hover in the 15 to 12 range, but not that many acts in this episode. But the upper echelon and the first 30 minutes of the show were really, really well done. And once we kind of get into those acts and get into those moments, we'll dive in more into those. But, the bottom, I would say 4, were not that great, not that memorable. But then you get into like really the top 8. And the top 8 all did extremely well and had some good takeaways and some good moments. And were really enjoyable. This was, another really solid Kill Tony episode. Definitely better than last week's episode with Sam J. and Greg Fitzsimmons. So without further ado, coming in at number 12, in my opinion, the worst set of the night, I have Mike Ivey.
Oh my God, Austin, Texas, new home of stand-up comedy. Love it. Great to be here. Only way this place could be better if there was a Chick-fil-A here. Love a Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A, oh my God. Religion has done some bad stuff, but Chick-fil-A is not one of them. Am I right? Huh? Oh yeah, I love it. Why can't there be more fast food restaurants based on an actual cult? Come on. Get some Scientology tacos. Yummy. Huh? How about a Jehovah's Witness DoorDash? Come on. Oh, fuck, the food's here. God damn it, fucking Jehovah's Witness DoorDash is here. This burger tastes like Jehovah. Shut up.
Mike Ivey came onto the stage and just, he had one of those attitudes that, how do I describe it? He said, oh boy, I'm here to fucking play and I'm here to please you. Oh boy, Austin, Texas, home of comedy. And it was very, very bad. I felt like he was trying way too hard. And, his first joke was already going to fall flat immediately, no matter what happened, because he said that Austin, Texas would be better if there's a Chick-fil-A in town. And lo and behold, there is a Chick-fil-A 2 blocks from the comedy mothership. And not only that, but the band actually went and got Chick-fil-A before the show even started. And Michael Gonzalez holds up his Chick-fil-A cup to show that there is indeed a Chick-fil-A in town. So that was not great. He had other, ways to build on that joke. Kind of talked about, obviously Chick-fil-A is known for their religious background. He said that he would like more cults to kind of have fast food backgrounds or, some more into food. One thing he said was the Jehovah Witness DoorDash. And he said, oh man, it's Jehovah Witness DoorDash. And then he stopped there. I think that joke has potential. I think you should build on that, you're knocking on the door and it's Jehovah Witness DoorDash and you can't get your food unless you hear the word of the Lord or something, or your DoorDash comes with like a Bible on the side or something. Like just a little bit there to kind of spice it up. Like that angle on that joke had a little bit more if you just added to it, in my opinion. And he was the first guy, or the second guy of the night, and we'll talk about the first guy, not that far away from here, that tried to argue with Tony about how much laughs he got. He tried to say, oh, they were laughing, but they were not. They were completely silent during Michael Ivey's set, and it was pretty embarrassing to not only hear no laughs, which, I usually like to hear comedians go up and not get laughs, which is, kind of the best part of the show. But it was really cringy and really hard to watch. But to say that he got laughs when he actually didn't was even worse. And, he said something else about, Heidi, drinking, had a half drinking liquid death in the back, and how that was like his dream to drink from where Heidi drank as well. And it was very weird, very creepy. And then, he had a lie where, at least I think it was a lie, where he said that the comedy club that he frequented the most in Cleveland, that he had done the most sets there out of any comedian ever. He has been doing it for 14 years somehow, and he comes out and has that kind of a set. But, Tony kind of tried to clock that, and, Mike tried to die on that sword and said that he did. And he has done the most sets out of anybody in that club. Whatever. That's a weird hill to die on. If he's going to die on it, let him die on it, I suppose. And then at the end of his set as well, He basically begged for a little joke book, and then Tony gave him an extra small joke book, which I think made it that much funnier. So for me, I got Mike Ivey at number 12. Coming in at number 11, I have Scotty Heim.
School, I had a buddy of mine move from Compton to Iowa. And, it's tough in Iowa when Compton's just a little better. He moved back after 2 years battling potholes. He decided to go back and fight the Bloods. He's a Crip from Compton, and it was better to fight the Bloods than live in Iowa. Yeah.
And, you want to talk about another guy. I got no laughs during his set. He didn't argue with the fact that he got laughs, but he got literally radio silence, which was hilarious, especially for his joke because he kind of tried to over-explain it. He talked about how his friend in high school moved from Compton to Iowa and said that he would rather go back and battle the Bloods than battle the potholes in Iowa, which, I think that would hit in Iowa. I think that joke would absolutely kill in Iowa, and I think it would kill anywhere in the Midwest, and I think it would kill probably here in Idaho as well, for a specific type of audience. But the Kill Tony audience, I don't think was the right place to use that joke, and again, he kept over-explaining it, and I really love when comedians do that and they try to go overboard, and it just continues to get no reaction. His second joke, though, where he asked, does anybody have conservative friends who love Latinas? And then he basically said that it was like a glory hole where he was like, I'll stay over here, you stay over there. That was all right. And then the interview portion was, him basically just talking about how much he loved going to a gay bar, even though he's extremely straight, and really kind of just pressed the gay bar thing. And it's not like Tony was kind of pressing him to talk about the gay bars much. He really wanted to talk about it, and he talked about it a lot. And somehow the gayest part of this whole entire interview was the fact that him and his friend shared a bed, but they put a pillow between them. And that somehow was, the gayest part of the whole thing. And Tom Segura said that as well. And that's what I was thinking the whole time. I'm like, if you if you can't trust yourself to not go nuts to butt with your friend, that you have to put a pillow between you, that is a little fishy. That's a little gay. I don't know about that. But not a good outing there for Scotty Heim, but I did enjoy the fact that it was radio silence and kind of did some good cringe content for some Kill Tony episodes there. Coming in at number 10, itching in to the top 10, I have Patrick Cassiday.
Anybody else ever walk in on your parents having sex when you were a kid? 17 times? It gets awkward after 4 or 5. Stupid. They kind of my fault the first time. They asked me what I wanted for my birthday, and I was like, I want to watch.
His set wasn't that great, but what ended up being the saving grace of his whole time on Kill Tony was his story. He talked about his dad who died recently, I believe he said a year ago, after getting the COVID shot, and he ended up having a stroke. He ended up having to be his dad's full-time caretaker, and during that time, they'd watch Kill Tony together, and they bonded over it, and he would say always, I'm going to go there, I'm going to try, I'm going to sign up, and he's been signing up, I believe, for either 7 weeks or 7 months that he had said that he had been signing up for it, and then he finally gets on. Very cool story, and one of the cool little emotional stories that you don't see very often on Kill Tony, where the show kind of brings people together, and you can tell a really good story about a show like Kill Tony. And him and Tony are actually hanging out too. I saw on Reddit the last 3 days those two have been hanging out, which is pretty cool. As far as the set goes, he talked about watching his parents have sex 17 times, which is what you get for asking for a watch that he wanted to watch for Christmas. And then he said that he turned 50 19 months ago, And Tom asked, he's like, why'd you say 19 months ago? Are you some sort of old broad? Which I thought was also hilarious. But, a great story. Not so good of a set, but it's cool to see that, he committed to this. He committed to moving to Austin to do the stand-up thing at 51 and to really do it for his dad and to get on a show that him and his dad enjoyed together, especially after something, so hard after losing him, is really, really cool. Coming in at number 9, I have Grinch Martinez.
So I was at Chick-fil-A the other day, right? With my wife and kids, which is what you do when you don't have the abortion. And I was thinking to myself, why do they call it a Arnold Palmer? Arnold Palmer, for those of you that don't know, he's just like an old white guy, played golf. But Arnold Palmer, the drink, is a mixed drink. It's a half and half. We shouldn't call it an Arnold Palmer. We should call it a Tiger Woods. He's half Thai, half Gur. You know what I'm saying?
Grinch Martinez's Alex Jones impression that he started the show off with wasn't great, and choosing Ice Spice lyrics to do it with was cringy at best, and I love that shit as a viewer, but if I'm going up there to do like a good minute of stand-up comedy, I don't know if I would have chose that. And he was the first person of the night to argue with Tony about if he ended up getting laughs or not. And, he kind of did, but, not like ridiculous amount of laughs. And what happened was he asked him if he thought his Alex Jones impression was good. And he's like, I thought it was okay. I've done better. And then Tony asked Red Band to do a Alex Jones impression. He goes, black helicopters. And I can't do a Alex Jones impression, but I did try for y'all. And he killed it. Red Band did a spot on Alex Jones impression, put Grinch Martinez to shame, unfortunately. And Grinch Martinez had one of the jokes of the night, in my opinion. He talked about Arnold Palmer, which is a mixed drink, a half and half, and Arnold Palmer, obviously a golfer. And he said they should call that drink the Tiger Woods because he's half Thai, half Gur. And it got no laughs from the crowd. I don't think Tony even got it. But that is a hilarious joke because he's half Asian, half black, half Thai, half Gur. Like, that's funny. Like, that was a great joke. I think it went over everybody's head. And that's kind of why I bumped him up a few spots, because I really was a fan of that joke. And one of the other funny parts of his interview was he said that he hung out with Tony before, but all he did was serve him a pizza at a pizza joint that he works at, which, again, was very, very funny. Coming in at number 8 for me, I have Lindsay Tyree.
Already getting laughs. My name's Lindsay. My pronouns are fee, fi, fo, fum.
Who is the better half of somebody who is going to be very higher on this list. She wasn't a bucket pull. She came on because her now fiance was on before her, and she ended up, getting her way onto the show and doing a set for the show. And she had an opening joke. She's 6'1". She's a tall gal. And she opened up with a joke saying, my pronouns are fee, fi, fo, fum. And that popped the crowd. It popped the panel. It was a hilarious opening line. And with her second joke, turns out she kind of butchered it. She said she had a rock. And she said something to do with mermaids. But she missed like a part of it. And it was a very key part, something about getting the rock from the beach, and it would have tied in a little bit more to the mermaid joke, which again I found on Reddit, and she actually answered the question on Reddit, which is cool. So, very awesome. Also talked about how she sold cupcakes and said they were organic, but they're not actually organic, which made it clear that she was a scammer, which was brought up early on in her fiance's set. And she also said that she had a shit ton of cats, but it turns out she only has 2, and Tony said, oh, so you live with 3 pussies, referring to, again, her fiance, and it contributed to one of the best 30 minutes to open the show in a long, long time. Had a lot of fun with her, with Ari Matti, who opened the show, and her fiance, who was the first bucket pool of the night. So very, very good stuff from Lindsay Tyree. Coming in at number 7, I have Pat Batista.
Your moths, they're big and they're intimidating. And I think if they were, if they could speak like English, they'd say bro a lot. And I don't get along with the moths here. They're way too big and they're just too much.
If you were to tell me after his set and after his whole interview that I would have Pat in the top 7, I would have said you're crazy. But after, kind of re-listening to it and rewatching the interview, I decided that it was a funny enough interaction with the panel, and Tom's kind of, Tom and Tony's little intervention about how he shouldn't smoke weed before doing his sets was enough for me to place him in the top 7, despite the fact that he really was off his game, especially for somebody who has been doing stand-up comedy for 10 years. He stumbled a lot, and it looked like he kind of came up unprepared, didn't know what he was going to do for a joke, and he ended up talking about the moths of Austin, Texas. And I think that's going to be memed in the Kill Tony universe for a while, because that was just some off-the-wall funny shit. And he talked about how they were intimidating and how big they were, and if they spoke English, they would say bro a lot, and Pat does not get down with that, not even a little bit. He got a lot of laughs just from being himself and, stumbling and messing up and not doing so well. And you could tell from just kind of his stage presence that he's been doing this for a while. But if he kind of got himself right and whatnot, that he could do better. And obviously, Red Band saw that in him because he offered him a spot at the Secret Show. And Tony said, if you're going to do that, you have to give me, your best joke. And he ended up talking about a only Filipino monkey feet joke. And it was a more crafted joke. You could tell he wrote it. It wasn't just him going on talking about moths that were scary and him looking nervous. So, at least he did end up telling a joke, and that benefited him for sure. But again, it was funny to see him stumble, and he got laughs from it. He was able to laugh at himself, and it was kind of funny to see Tom and Tony give him somewhat of an intervention as well. That was a pretty big highlight of the episode from me. Coming in at number 6 in his highest placement since I've been doing these videos is Drew Nickens.
Having a TBI in this platform, I want you to know if you work hard and you stay kind, you can achieve any dream you want. Right? Well, I want to accomplish like the ones before me. I'm talking about Gary Busey, talking about Aaron Hernandez, talking about Chris Benoit. But I'm not a murdering TBI. I'm a childlike TBI.
After figuring out what a TBI is, after, he explained it to Tom and Tony, the set was actually pretty funny. Going back and rewatching it, talking about how he's not like Aaron Hernandez. He's not like Chris Benoit after having a traumatic brain injury. Very good. And it was cool to hear him open up a little bit. Obviously, he talked about his past, his battles with depression, suicidal thoughts, and whatnot. Really just a guy who's gone through a lot and is really trying to just find himself and try to make his dreams come true with the stand-up comedy. And, it's hard when he does stuff like that to dislike Drew Nickens. You could dislike his comedy, and I've shit on his comedy before. But when he starts to get better and he starts pulling at your heartstrings, it's really, you can't dislike Drew Nickens, the person, because he really is a guy that is going after his dreams. He's gone through a lot, and he's trying to make it in the comedy business, and you can't hate on that. He had a good bit where he talked about how he likes the mental health facilities that he's gone to that are mixed with drug rehab because they're like a Taco Bell and a KFC. Thought that was a pretty funny comparison. He also talked about how he finally kissed a girl, in Austin, and he asked if it was, compared it back to Lindsay Tyree, and he said fee fi fo no, which was a good joke. Very good. Awesome little comeback there from Drew. And this was one of his best sets, if not his best sets, since becoming one of the regulars, one of the, now he's a golden ticket winner according to Tony, but ever since he has been, more frequent on the show, this was probably his best work. And, opening up about stuff, it was cool seeing them, kind of critique him and being open to the criticism. And good stuff from Drew Nickens on this episode. I have him at number 6. Coming in at number 5, I have Roman Schmitt.
Living in Austin, this is my first real experience with homeless people. And I don't know about you guys, but I get called a faggot a lot by the homeless. It's to the point where I'm like, they know something I don't. I've never questioned myself till I got here, and I'm like, is it the way I walk? Like, what?
Second time on the show for Roman, and I really, really, really enjoyed what he had to offer on this episode. He's a true Midwest guy. He said, geez Louise, and that made Tom and Tony laugh very hard. And, Tony said, I'm known to say geez Louise from now and again, every now and again, which makes sense, especially when he talked about his main joke throughout this episode, which is the homeless people calling him a faggot. And he said that word at least more than 20 times, which is so, so funny. And he's like, is it the way that I walk? And then he kept talking about how he has beef with these homeless people and he shoots them with gel blasters in the middle of the night for fun. He talked about growing up Catholic, and he just found out recently that the brown eye refers to, your asshole, but the priest referred to the brown eye as his flower. Very funny. Good stuff. I mean, he's a guy that should have gotten an invite on The Secret Show. Tony even called that out, but I think as long as he signs up again and he puts on a performance like that again, which he has every opportunity in the world to do, Roman Schmitt should not only get on The Secret Show, but should have his door open for more opportunities. Coming in at number 4, I have Trey Campbell.
Any Kanye West fans in here? Kanye just released a new album on Vultures. One of the lines he says, beautiful big titty butt naked women don't just fall out the sky, And I heard that and I was like, damn, those are bars. But clearly Kanye West wasn't in New York City on September 11, 2001.
Trey Campbell, the better half, and I keep forgetting her name, to Lindsay Tyree. Trey Campbell was the first bucket pull of the night, and this is, he's been on the show, I think, a handful of times at this point. And he told these jokes. The first joke that he told was about a bumper sticker that he saw on a Nissan Altima that said, silly boys, trucks are for girls. And it was on a Nissan Altima, and he said, man, this town's so progressive, even the cars are trans. And he looked over to the panel every time to kind of get, affirmation that he did well. And that was so funny. And his Kanye West joke and his Kanye 9/11 joke, beautiful big titty butt naked women don't just fall from the sky, and saying clearly Kanye wasn't around New York City on September 11th, 2001. Love a good 9/11 joke. That was a good 9/11 joke. His interview was great. It lasted a long time. Obviously got his fiance up there, and Tom and Tony basically hooked him up with a potential 69 situation. Would love to know if they 69 after the show, because that was very funny. And then they talked about his sex life for a while, and he talked about how he lasted a long time because he likes to think about the Sacramento Kings, and I thought that was funny because, it's kind of relatable, but with the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's very, very funny. It was good stuff. It was a heartwarming moment almost, getting his old lady on and, kind of seeing these two, lovebirds on there who are probably both on the spectrum, coming out and doing comedy and doing a good job, I would say. So good stuff from them. And I got Trey Campbell as the best bucket pull of the night. And now we're down to the top 3 here, and all 3 of them are regulars, and all 3 of them did a very, very good job. Starting off with number 3, I got William Montgomery.
Oh, man, holy shit. Big congratulations to Lizzo. She is now focusing on her health and has lost half of her body weight. Lizzo, I'm sure it feels so much better to be walking around at 450 pounds, you big-ass bitch. Can't stand you, bitch!
During his interview portion, he talked about how he used to do drugs with Pat back in L.A. at the Comedy Store, which was kind of a funny callback. Kind of funny that he did that with Pat. Makes sense. And then his funniest joke, obviously, hitting up Lizzo again, making fun of her. But, this was kind of a good set for him because, he kind of got to reflect on, just kind of how much he's done so far in his career. And he kind of referred to the fact that, he needed to maybe take a break here soon. I don't know if that's taking a break from Kill Tony, but at least, taking a break from the road and really kind of, simmering down a little bit, because William Montgomery is a hard worker. He is making bread. He's doing a lot. And he's done it at a consistent basis now for a long, long time. So very proud of William Montgomery. Really enjoyed his set and will always be a fan of William Montgomery. I ain't never going to stop being a fan of William Montgomery. Coming in at number 2, I have Ari Matti.
Proud to be American. And I love that energy, because the first time I came to America, this was a couple of years ago, I went to Seattle. Very different vibe. Dude, I go to Seattle, I'm hyped. I'm ready to get off the plane. I watched Saving Private Ryan back to back 3 times. I'm hyped. I'm ready to shoot somebody, Let's fucking storm the Capitol and shit.
I think every time Ari Matti's on the show, I have him at number 1 or number 2, and that says a lot about the stylings of Ari Matti. He talked about coming to America for the first time and comparing it to how it is now that he has moved to Texas. The first time that he came to America was when he traveled to Seattle, and how, the people in Seattle, compared to the people in Texas, the people in Seattle, always had their head down. All the girls had low blood pressure and green hair and said, America's built on a racist agenda. And he said, who cares? If you don't like America, try going to Ukraine. And I thought that was very funny. And it's a good little take for a guy that can, really have these takes. For somebody who's from Estonia and moves to America and, can really see both sides of the fence and how great it is to be in this country of ours, and formed a really well-crafted joke around it. Ari Matti is a true professional, and I think we're all kind of counting down the days until that man gets his citizenship so we can all see him not only on our screens more for Kill Tony and not have to worry about him leaving, but also so he can get, specials, so he can tour, so he can just do everything that he should as a guy that is definitely on the level of a professional stand-up comedian. Very proud of how far he's come and very happy to be a fan of Ari Matti. And coming in at number 1, I have Kam Patterson.
3 Acura, and that was a dumbass choice. I shouldn't have did that. I do like my car though. My car dope. I like it a lot. My car is pretty cool, cause my car like a thug. You feel what I'm saying? Like old cars are thugs in my mind. Like my car with them when Tupac got shot, it's seen a lot of shit. New cars is pussy. Real shit. Like a 2024 car, pussy as hell, dog. If you could like in a Tesla, it probably beep a lot before you put your seatbelt on, please.
Kam Patterson has gotten so much. I don't want to say so much better, but like he's gone from telling jokes about where he was like the weekend before, and it was just like the same thing over and over again, to just telling different jokes. Like he's telling a bunch of different jokes. He's going outside the box and really doing different things with his minutes, and it's been funny, and it's been good, and I've really enjoyed the last couple of Kam Patterson sets, and I think he had the best set of the night. And the best interview of the night as well in this episode. You know, he talked about how he's trying to become an actor and that he just keeps playing himself, and him and Tony tried to role play where he was a doctor and Tony was the patient. And he's like, oh no, what's going to happen? And then and then Cam comes out and then Tony goes, oh no, you are not my doctor. And I thought that was hilarious. One of the better moments of the show. And his bit about 2024 cars being pussies because they beep when your seatbelts don't come on. I agree with that. And that's why I like my old car, because it doesn't beep when you don't put your seatbelt on. I totally relate to that. And really, really, really enjoyed this set. Really loved what I saw from Kam Patterson. And again, really enjoyed this episode. Alrighty, guys, that is another breakdown of another Kill Tony episode. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.